Now, witches are very curious people.
The following is an excerpt from the Witching Hour podcast where Alan Cheney, Sade, Rayanne, and myself discuss Ringu's influence on video games. It's part of a larger two-part episode where we compare and contrast the American and Japanese Ring movies, then review the new Ring movie. If you enjoy this excerpt, please go subscribe to the Witching Hour channel and visit the website below. I'd really appreciate it.
So did Palette suggested that we talk about some of the influences the Ring franchise has had? So let's move on to that. I know within Japan, Ringu actually revitalized Japanese horror in the cinema world. Like, it started the J-horror boom, and J-horror normally is defined as movies like they came post Ringu's release. So a lot of the movies that came afterwards, like Dark Water, Audition Pulse, One Missed Call, they follow a lot of the same formula. Or even like Ju-on has some influences from Ringu. But the Palette, I think you prepared a thing, so you just take over.
Okay. So I was going to research how Ringu has affected everything, and then I just narrowed that down to video games because there's been a lot of influence as of late with characters like Sadako in video games. And so a very notable example I love, there's a game called Killer Instinct. And Killer Instinct is a fighting game. It's been recently rebooted. And so they're taking all of these old characters and adding in a bunch of new ones. And now it's mostly just new characters. And it has all kinds of characters. It has like a weird raptor dinosaur character. There's like a cyborg and everything. They have a cool model where they're just like putting out characters as they're done. And it's really clear that the people making the game care deeply about how it comes out, and they're doing a bunch of balancing and everything. But Killer Instinct's Hisako is a young ghostly woman wielding a naginata with a range of abilities you'd expect from a Sadako-like character. So a naginata, if you don't know, is a Japanese spear blade thingy. Her village was massacred and destroyed, all the graves robbed and desecrated. Now Hisako is filled with a violent desire for revenge. Historically, women in Japan defended the homestead with naginatas, just like Hisako does. Her moveset consists of teleportation, Yurei-like crawling dashes, and possession, where Hisako's aura pulls victims in, and she gets inside of them and makes them contort in horrific ways. She has the slowest walk speed of any character in the game, but her special mechanic is called Wrath. It's a meter that, when full, makes her attacks do more damage. This meter fills automatically, not by not dashing, attacking, or being attacked. This makes her gameplay mimic how Sadako acts in the Ring movies. She moves slowly, then explodes in a series of jittery movements that kill foes. Hisako is my waifu because of how well thought out her gameplay is.
I like that little tidbit at the end. Yeah, I was looking at pictures of her. I was like, she looks like a really interesting character. And definitely, like you said, heavily influenced.
So why I mentioned this is because this game has a lot of monster-like characters, and what I like is that they'll do stuff like this where the character's backstory really plays into how they play. So like I was saying, she moves very slowly until she moves really fast, because that's how she does the most damage.
Mm-hmm.
And in the whole, like, she does the weird little crawl thing that Sadako does and everything.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting character.
Moving on. F.E.A.R, or First Encounter Assault Recon, is a survival horror first-person shooter developed by Monolith Productions and published by Sierra Entertainment. A prominent gameplay element is reflex time, which slows down the gameplay world while still allowing players to aim and react at normal speeds. The game's story revolves around a supernatural phenomenon, which F.E.A.R, a fictional special forces team, is called to contain. The player assumes the role of F.E.A.R's point man, who possesses superhuman reflexes and must uncover the secrets of a paranormal menace in the form of a little girl, Alma Wade. Relatively little is known for certain about Alma Wade, but her presence is felt constantly throughout the game series. She appears initially to the player as an 8-year-old girl wearing a red dress and a disturbingly blank, mask-like face, almost completely obscured by black hair. In the final part of the game, and the preceding visions, her appearance changes to that of a naked, emaciated adult woman. Alma was a powerful psychic. It's never completely clear if Alma is real or if she exists in the minds of the people seeing her. Bloody footprints can be found in some places where she walks and is briefly visible on CCTV monitors in the treatment plant. At the age of 7, Alma was recruited into ATC's Project Origin with the aim of creating psychic individuals from psychic forebears. 2 days before her 8th birthday in 1987, she was put into an induced coma and locked in the vault, a spherical structure located deep inside Origin's facility. During the project, Alma was impregnated twice with prototypes created from her own DNA mixed with that of Origin researchers. She gave birth to the first prototype, the character you play in the first game, when she was only 15, and then a second when she was 16. Life support was removed from the vault when Alma was 26, leading ATC to believe she was dead. According to her father, her physical body died 6 days after the removal of her life support. But according to what happens in F.E.A.R 2, her psychic energy continued to linger long after her heart stopped, fueled by the hatred of her angry, rageful spirit. And so in both of these stories, you can see that the characters initially were filled with revenge for specific people, but then that revenge, it just became blinded, so they just kill indiscriminately. They want revenge against everyone, even people who haven't harmed them, which is just like Sadako.
It's actually what I noted from that. So Sadako is essentially, I think we mentioned them when we were doing the yokai episode, an onryo, that vengeful spirit that for some reason they had like murder, they died because of murder or suicide, but they come back seeking revenge. That's all what they're about. There was another version, I don't remember the name of it, but if you mentioned the little girl in the red dress. There was one version where if you died in a red dress, you would come back as a vengeful spirit.
So, funny note, recently there was a game release called Resident Evil 7, and Resident Evil 7, when its first gameplay trailers were announced and shown and everything, people were confused because they're saying, wow, this game is supernatural all of a sudden. What is up with this game being so supernatural? It was always about zombies before. The Japanese name for the game is Biohazard, so why are there all these ghosts and everything? And I said from the very beginning that they were playing with expectations. Lo and behold, I was right, because it was super obvious, and somehow people didn't pick up on this. But I didn't know this.
I think people are just done with Capcom, to be honest. So there is no faith in Capcom anymore.
Well, after this game and Resident Evil 2 Remake, I think people are starting to trust them again. Also, they are porting Capcom vs. Marvel 3 and making a new Capcom vs. Marvel game because somehow they're friends with Marvel again. I don't know. But anyway, I didn't know this while playing Resident Evil 7. I found this out after. The author of F.E.A.R story, Richard Pearcy, also wrote Resident Evil 7, and he was the first Westerner to ever write a Resident Evil game.
Oh, yeah. I read about that.
American writer.
I remember reading about that. I don't want to go into it too much, though, because Sade still hasn't.
But the kind of plot problems that I have with F.E.A.R are kind of solved in Resident Evil 7. This guy figured out what kind of story he wants to write. So anyway, thank you, Richard Pearcy, for writing an excellent story. But...
oh boy, I disagree with you there, but go on.
So, save the best one for last. I don't think any of you know about this game, but I expect you to mute your mics and furiously Google this thing I'm about to tell you. The Ring, Terror's Realm, or simply known
Oh.
as Ringu in Japan,
Is
is
this
a
the Dreamcast one?
yes,
Yeah.
is a survival horror game developed and published by Amsic Ace Entertainment in Japan and
This
published
is a
by
very good
Infogrames
game.
in North America. It was released on the Dreamcast. It is based on the Ring series of novels by Japanese author Koji Suzuki. Meg Rainman is a newly hired researcher at the Center for Disease Control in the United States. Her boyfriend Robert is among 4 workers at the CDC who have died mysteriously on the same day, and the only thing that connects them is a program found on their computer called Ring, all caps. When the CDC is put under lockdown, Meg finds herself imprisoned in the center with her coworkers. Inside the CDC, Meg must find out the truth behind Robert's death and the Ring.
This doesn't seem like it has anything to do with the other one at all.
It is a very bad game.
It is, if you play the game and you don't know that it's an official game, you feel like, have I been gypped? Is this some sort of like weird knockoff thing? And then you find out, like, playing it as a kid, I wasn't sure if I was remembering that this game existed or not, even though I had the game on my shelf. I'm like, is that thing on my shelf that is a Ring game that doesn't have a monster in it and is just bad CG?
That is interesting. I'm looking over it, and it's definitely, I mean, even by the time it, Dreamcast, it still looks pretty bad graphically, too.
The best part is that when you click on the start page, on the start screen, to start a new game, it goes, like it makes like the sound, like a really cartoony sound of blood splatter.
I wonder if I can find it, because I still have a Dreamcast.
I do too.
Oh, really?
I have played this game in the past. I do not own it. It is, man.
I own a copy of it. It's a prized possession of mine.
Someone to me was like, it's like Resident Evil, and I definitely was like, I kind of get that vibe from the whole CDC thing and disease and all that. It's definitely like, what were they going for here?
Maybe they were trying to go with the book more, because like I mentioned in the book, it was a virus that killed you, not a ghost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was like. It's interesting that they take influence from the book instead.
Okay, so there's something that I haven't mentioned about this game yet. The way that the game works is that you go inside the CD world. You go inside virtual reality.
What?
Yep.
No.
Yep.
You go inside virtual reality, and there's like these weird monkey animals that you have to fight.
Okay, then.
Confused.
It beggars belief, this game.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, that's all I got.